Hello and welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and on today's show, I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite waiver wire pickups for Week 9 of the fantasy football season. The buys are coming fast and furious now, so you might need to consider picking somebody up on the waiver wire this week. I have some options for you this week. They're all running backs and receivers, though. As always, don't forget to check out my wavering story on the website. I have a lot more players listed there, but for now, I'll give you 5 players I like for this week. I think could help you maybe going forward. And my first one is Isaiah Davis of the New York Jets. The running back's owned on 32.3% of leagues on our site. His role continues to increase in the Jets offense as the top backup to Breece Hall. He looked really good last week. Davis, he had 12 touches for 109 total yards, converted a 2-point try. He's played well with his opportunities, and there's still a chance Breece Hall gets moved before the trade deadline. If that happens, Davis's value would go through the roof. And even with Hall around, I think Davis might end up getting a little more work here going forward because they wanted to use that two-back approach early in the year, and it didn't quite work out. So I think Davis could be a factor the rest of the way, even if Hall's around. But if Hall gets dealt, even better for fantasy owners. So I like Davis as a speculative pickup there. My next waiver wire pickup is Chimere Dike of the Tennessee Titans. The receiver's owned on 8% of leagues on our site. DK really is emerging as the top target in the Titans passing game with Calvin Ridley sidelined. He had 7 receptions for 93 yards on 8 targets last week. He has 11 catches for 163 yards his past 2 games. DK is forming a nice rapport with rookie Cam Ward, and I think he has some weekly potential going forward. Even if Calvin Ridley gets healthy, I think DK's earned a spot in this lineup, and he could end up being a guy that gets some weekly targets in that offense. My next pickup this week is another receiver, and it's Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. He's owned on 36.4% of leagues on our site. He made his season debut last week, returning from a torn ACL suffered last year. He looked really good last week. He caught 4 passes for 85 yards. He played 56% of the snaps, so he wasn't even out there a ton, and he still made some plays. And I think his usage is just going to go up as the season progresses and he becomes more healthy on that knee. He's always going to be capable of some big games in this offense. He was a big-time player a few years back, so I would not discount him going forward. I like him as a pickup at receiver this week for teams looking to add depth at the position. My next pickup is a running back, and it's Dylan Sampson of the Cleveland Browns. He's owned on about 24% of leagues on our site. Quinshon Judkins hurt his shoulder last week, had to leave the game. Right now, the word is Judkins is day-to-day, so he's kind of up in the air to play this week. If he were to miss, Sampson would be likely the next guy up, and he produced pretty well with his chances earlier in the year. He's a good receiving back out of the backfield, so he definitely has some potential in the passing game. And if he's starting in an offense that likes to run the ball, Sampson's definitely going to have some fantasy value there, especially with a lot of teams on a bye again this week and some players hurt as well. So Sampson definitely could be a guy worth grabbing for fantasy teams. My last pickup for this week is Xavier Hutchinson of the Houston Texans. He's owned on just 4.2% of leagues on our site. He has found the end zone 2 of the last 3 games, though. He had season highs last week, I should say. He caught 5 passes for 69 yards and a touchdown, and he played the most snaps of any Texans receiver each of the last 2 games. Nico Collins is likely to return this week, but I think even if that happens, Hutchinson's still going to get plenty of chances in this offense. It looked a lot better last week against San Francisco throwing the ball, so I think that's very encouraging for guys like Hutchinson who play opposite Nico Collins. So even with Collins returning, I would not be surprised if Hutchinson still has a decent role in this offense. All right, those are 5 of my favorite waiver wire pickups for Week 9 of the fantasy football season. Good luck navigating those waiver wires. I hope you'll have a lot of success getting the players you're looking for. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.